I'm creating this video because I had a problem with my GE freezer where the ice maker just gradually would not produce ice, or very slowly. Kept checking some things, and so I wanted to share some things I found by doing a bunch of research. Found different things from different sites here, but some of the stuff I want to go through was kind of from across several sites, so I thought I'd put a video together and explain this out. So if you have a model similar to this, these are the steps that fixed my ice maker process. One of the things to get into the service tech mode, you have to hold water. So water, autofill, and ice at the same time. And it comes up with tech, T-E-C-H. So a lot of things you need to combine these numbers. So we're now in the tech service mode, and you scroll up on the right side, single digits up and down. And so if you want to get to a code, let's say 10 or 20, you increment by 10 on the left side here, if I can press it. So this goes up by 10 and decreases by 10 on the left, single digits on the right side. So 00 actually display the error codes. So I'm going to go through that. I've already replaced my icebox fan and also the evaporator fan, but just to show you what the error codes, it says it's reading. So it goes through the first code, and it'll display 3 sets of numbers. This one took forever for me to figure out what this means. So it's telling you error code 10, it's one occurrence, and it's 1 day old. And it's mainly because I reset the code after I installed the new fans yesterday. So 0010 is my first error code, 1 occurrence, and 1 day old. To go to the next error, you want to press the fridge button to toggle up. So my next code is 0105. That is also 1 occurrence, 1 day ago. Go to the next one, I have a 0721, 1 occurrence, and that occurred 0 days ago. I think I reset things here this morning or yesterday, but that's what these codes that keep looping through. And once you're at the end of them, it'll beep. That's the end of the codes. At the top of your refrigerator, I found on mine, after you take the top panels off of the doors, mine was in the very middle, but this is where you'll see the codes of the different tests that you can go, so just that you can run. So like the first one that we did is to show the fault codes. The next one we're going to do is actually clear the fault codes. Since I replaced the fans just yesterday, I'm still seeing the same ones, but nothing major. I think it's just cycling through that. But this is how you actually run. The kicker, the main one, which we'll go through, is number 16, which is how to exit out of service mode. And it resets all the boards, it says here in the system. But here's all these different code things that you can run, which if you can access this sheet at the top of your fridge, this was very helpful on determining what to run to help diagnose the problem. And then over here on the left here's the actual description of the codes that are coming back. So I think I had a 004, or excuse me, so I had a 0010, says the ice maker thermistor reading out of range. And again, that was just 1 occurrence yesterday, but basically replacing the fans definitely fixed my issues here. So let's get back to the display here. So then if you press the light button, kind of like your enter key, we go back to the main service tech codes. Remember, you go up by one, so I'm going to do a reset of the error codes. So I'm on 1, I press the light, you hear it beep, that's performing the function. Like I said, you go up and down single digits on the right side, up and down on the left side here, increase and decrease by 10. But one of the main sheets here I want to share here, I'll try to keep it steady. These are the error codes, or excuse me, service tech codes that I ran on my fridge here. And there was one website that they displayed some of the codes, and the main one that I had issues with is number 28. That says it's the freezer evaporator thermistor test. Mine would come back with just dashes on the screen. And after I replaced my icebox fan, and also I replaced the evaporator while I was down in the freezer, it's like, might as well replace it. So 24 hours later, the temperature of that is coming back, actually reading negative 0717 on the screen. So there's a decimal point in between what you see displayed on the screen, which we'll go through. So one of the videos I ran through, like 27, the freezer, the thermistor test, I would get numbers, but except 28 was always dashes. So that was part of the problem. Replacing the fan fixed that. It also comes with a thermistor in it. And then the other one of the service codes is these fan tests. So the very bottom one here, they have a number 50 that does an icebox fan test. And so I was getting zeros across the board before I replaced the fan. And then after replacing it, as you see, it come up with 2131 for RPMs on it. You do have to let the fan speed, like wait 5 seconds I put on there for it to get up to speed before you jot down, record your readings. But this really helped me to help diagnose my issue. Again, when I would cycle through, I'll try to get back to the other sheet, I believe a 99, if I can find the code again here. Yeah, 99. I would do that. I could tell there was ice frozen there, so I could perform that function. So it did the ice maker test, cycle through. It just that it wasn't freezing them quickly to keep the bin full. So let's go through how to actually run, for example, to check the thermistor freezer test, which is number 28 on the sheet. So I'm going to go up by 10 here on the left side, and then go up on the right side by single digits to 28, and then press light to perform that test. And that is showing me the temperature of the freezer is a negative 13.62. So put a decimal in between that for that number. Number 37 is the ice cabinet thermistor. So we'll do a 37, go up by 1. And that says 5 degrees, so that's 5.57 degrees. So just as a heads up, I did actually trace down the thermistor for that is actually in the freezer. And you can tell I've got ice now. It's been working great for the last day here. But behind this panel is where that thermistor temperature sensor is at that location. And I was able to take that out. And actually hold it. So option 37 is how you can tell what is the temperature in your ice cabinet. I've read 2 different things where one site says the temperature in here has to be less than 10 degrees to produce ice. Another site was like less than 15 degrees. So if you have a temperature above that, for the ice cabinet, mine was around 17 at different times. So I think I was borderline with the 15, and then it would produce the ice and cycle through. So replacing that fan made a huge difference. I do want to point out the freezer, the icebox fan, I found out is actually producing and pushing air up through here. So when you do the icebox fan test, you can tell originally mine kept coming back as 0, so it wasn't working, but this is the vent that actually is pushing air up from the icebox fan. And then the other numbers down here I mentioned are actually RPMs. So originally my icebox fan test was 0s, but now it's coming around 2100 RPMs, and that is the code number 50. We were going to run a test on that. So we go back here and we go up to 50 and we execute that. And you have to wait just a few seconds. And now we see we have, so you combine these numbers together. So I'm around 2100 RPMs. So that is good. So I replaced down in my bottom freezer, there's tons of videos from repair or partsdoctor.com is where I got my parts, but they got great videos on how to replace the evaporator fan, which is in the upper middle, straight in the back. You have to take out the drawers and panels. And then the upper left down here in the freezer is my icebox fan. So that was my main issue that I had to replace on it to fix the ice maker, and now it's working great. So to exit out of the test mode, we got to go back to number 16. And that is actually exiting test mode, resetting the boards, and then it'll come up. It takes about 5 seconds, and then you'll see it come back on here. I did want to point out, I had a couple, found on a couple sites, and on my model, I can hold down this freezer button, and it goes into TF or turbo freeze mode. So it's supposedly if you're opening and closing your doors quite a bit, and who knows, I did turn it into that when I was working on replacing this, but that may help limp you along to produce ice. Is the turbo freeze option to help with that. Hope those things help you out and able to display those error codes and help track it down. But definitely I did find my main sheet here on top of the fridge cover in the middle, but it does help display different code, different processing, different errors that you can cross-check here. So hope this video helps. Thanks.